Welcome back from the AM News. If you're just joining us, you're on to Debris on Edo Broadcasting Service Reloaded. EBS, nothing else is better. Before we went for the AM News, I remember giving you a hint of our point of discussion. At this particular time, I told you about anger management because with events that we have seen over the years, even in recent times, we've come to understand the importance of one's ability to manage anger. It has caused so many pains in homes, broken so many marriages, brought down kingdoms, tore countries apart just because of inability to manage anger. It's something that is very in our day-to-day lives. You see people becoming enemies because of what? Anger. So we are going to be looking at anger management today, and we have somebody in the studio, a professional, trained to do just that. Is Dr. Ose Agbekana. You are very welcome, sir.
Thank you.
We appreciate you.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. The very first question I want to put to you this morning is anger is part of our makeup. Is it something we are bound to experience? We are bound to have as part of our makeup as humans, anger? Is it just, it needs to be there within us?
Thank you, madam, for that question.
Thank you, sir.
I want to say yes.
Okay.
It's part of our makeup.
Mm-hmm.
It is inbuilt.
All right.
Because naturally, if someone feels offended, yes. I use the word feel yes. offended because you may think the other party, may think what you are doing may not really lead to anger, but the fellow may feel offended and he could be angry. So it's not left for him, the situation is the ability to control it. Mm-hmm. That is, you could be angry and you decide to suppress it, just to let things move on, smoothly. But a lot of people with a hot temper are not able to suppress it. That is when, it's now expressed, outwardly, either in terms of shouting, talking, at the top of their voices. At times could even lead to physical confrontation or even violence, as the case may be. So I think it's a natural phenomenon, but the important thing is ability to hold it so that it does not lead to anything violent.
Okay. Before I pick the next, ask you the next question from what you said there's need to suppress it.
Yes.
Okay, I'll pick you on that. But before that, let me get this words across. Is from the dictionary.
Okay.
Anger is a strong feeling of displeasure, hostility, or antagonism towards someone or something, usually combined with an urge to harm, often stemming from perceived provocation, hurt, or threat. Now, in your explanation few seconds ago, you said ability to suppress. Now, I want to find out, sir, if I get angry, maybe there's a situation, someone gets me angry, and I decide to suppress it because I don't want to be perceived as being too hot-tempered or something. I decide to suppress it. Am I not doing damage to myself by not? I'm not talking about hurting someone now. I'm not talking to the extent of doing something drastic that is harmful. But am I not supposed to express myself and let it go instead of suppressing it and causing myself harm? That's what I want to find out from you, sir.
It's either way.
Okay.
You could have it. You could be right.
Okay.
On the other side, it may not necessarily be doing harm to yourself.
Okay.
Now, it is true. it is true. By the nature of many people, they get angry, and when they get angry, they want to let it out. And by the time they let it out, I mean, they are back to themselves, you know, and that anger is gone, you know. But there are also other persons who try to suppress it, and such persons, you find that they keep on keeping such anger in them, and that is where it may affect their psychological state, could lead to stress and even depression, because they feel that, oh, something is being done against them, perhaps deliberately. Could be in the office, it could even be at home, you know, could be either the wife or the husband or even any of the children, you know. So, but I think that once you are angry and you are able to control it, and then you talk to yourself inwardly, please, there's no big deal, you know, life goes on. In such a situation, you are able to overcome it. But if you suppress it and you keep it in your mind, that is where the problem comes.
There's danger.
Yes. So usually, we, as counselors, we advise people to let out, but in a controlled process. It should not lead to it should not lead to violence.
Okay.
It should not lead to violence. You may not even need to disturb others around by shouting and all that. You could call the person, you know, or party, so to say, that has offended you, that led to that anger, that look, what you have just done, you know, I don't like it. And you can still say it in very quiet, in quiet terms, and you still make your point. And you make the fellow realize that, look, what you have done to me, I don't like it. All the same, I know I'm overlooking it. At least you are able to express yourself. But a situation where you shout at the top of your voice, you let your adrenaline override the hormones, and you are not in charge of yourself any longer. You know, you are aware of what a lot of people have done.
Excessive.
Yeah, it becomes excessive. Now the pastor will tell you, oh, the devil has gone to the person. It's not just the devil, it's just his overreaction, you know, that has led to it. And you see, madam, you find that even in Nigeria, we've heard of cases of where some persons stab the other party out of anger. We have heard of husbands, you know, doing harm to their wives, physical body harms, or even taking their lives because of anger. You know, we have heard of, like you rightly mentioned at the introductory stage, you talk about communities, you have nations.
Yes.
Like today we have Ukraine and Russia fighting, all because Ukraine did or was in the process of doing. They wanted to join, I think, NATO.
NATO, yes. NATO.
And Russia felt, oh, they are.
It was a threat to them.
It's a threat to them. You know, it has led to war. Thousands of lives, you know, have been lost. In my own closet, I just felt, oh, the Ukrainian president and the Russian president would have known that, look, lives will be lost. Also, just because of the interest of your country, they went that far. Why couldn't they? Because at the end of the day, you find the First World War, the Second World War, both of them, after destructions and all that, they still came to the round table.
Yes.
And it was no result. You know, the Nigerian Civil War, after destructions of lives and property, it was the same thing. So there's need to control anger. I may not necessarily suppress. Let's put that word suppression, you know, in abeyance, because at times it's difficult to suppress, but you can control. You know, that is, this thing I'm touched, I'm highly annoyed, but okay. And another factor is that you don't tend to control or try to intervene when the issue, actually as a third party. Now I and A and B have issues. As a third party, it's not at the point that you are so hot. I mean, the two parties are so hot that you want to intervene. The best you can do, Mr. A, Mr. B, please cool down, relax, you know, please, for now, please don't, just let there be peace. Then after some time, could be 1 hour's time, could be some time later, you can now call them. Then their temperature, so to say, have calmed down. So that is it.
I know my colleague is itchy to ask you some select questions, but before
no, but you
are just enjoying yourself with this. I know.
Yes,
so, you see, sir, while talking, there's this point you made again. It's good to let it out.
Yes.
Because if you suppress it,
yes,
you're doing something to your inside,
yeah,
and to your psychology. Now, at that point of experiencing anger, probably I'm the one here, I'm the one angry. My colleague is here, other persons are here. At what point can I myself involved, he himself here, be able to decipher or notice and be able to conclude that this is becoming dangerous, it's becoming a threat? At what point of anger is anyone around that vicinity, that environment, around that person can consider that this is getting out of hand, it is becoming a threat and something should be done? At what point, when somebody is angry?
I think you have indirectly answered the question yourself. Because if two persons are angry, and there's a gap, there's a distance.
No, you don't seem to get me. In terms of somebody wanting to act on his or an anger, so how do you know to avoid such problems?
At a point in time that they raise their voices, and then
it's a sign.
That is a sign.
Okay.
That's number one sign.
Okay.
The number two sign is they tend to get closer to each other.
Okay.
Then you know that violence can come,
yes,
can come in. And that is where a third party will now go in between them to stop any further action.
Okay.
That is very clear. Okay. Because if two persons, like in a village setting,
okay,
I'm a villager, I grew up in the village, there could be quarrels between two women,
yeah,
in a compound, close, that is neighbors now. They'll be trying, I will say, if not for me, you wouldn't have cooked yesterday. I'm the one that borrowed your hair. The other one will also reply. They are talking to themselves from distance. But by the time one gets overheated up, so to say, and goes closer, say, what did you just say? Then you know that something dangerous is about to happen. So it behoves on whosoever is around to try and step in.
What in the case of one person, he is cool, I'm the one angry here, but he is cool.
Yes.
Maybe he's asking me some questions or saying some things. I begin to react. And he is not seeing, but because he is the one asking the questions, maybe there's an issue. Joy, something just happened, I heard you did this, and I start getting angry. At what point should he understand that something is going to happen if it doesn't get clear? Stay clear immediately.
He studies you.
Okay.
One, like I mentioned earlier, you may raise your voice.
Yes.
Two, such a person also already knew you, so to say. When the countenance, you see some people, their eye, the color of the eyeball will change, sparkling, red, and then the movement of the eyeballs, and then you find the person saying more than 10 things in 1 second. You know that it's becoming a dangerous situation.
Okay. Coyote.
Well, it's interesting to hear from an expert counselor, Dr. Ibeka.
Yes.
It was particularly interesting when you say you grew up in the village. You are not, but you dwell in the city. You are not completely a village person.
I'm a villager.
Because there's no university in your village, and you are an academic doctor. And so maybe you, after retirement, you went back to. Now let's look at what we've been looking at is anger management, and definitively, my colleague here has just given a shot to what anger is. You define the 10 elements of anger before you go into control.
Yes.
Because extensively anger.
We are yet to come into control.
Yes, we are just looking at what anger is.
Yeah, because extensively anger can be very profound.
Yeah.
It can happen at different dimensions. Psychoanalytically,
Yes.
you can have anger. Genially, emotionally. Anger is a condensed expression of the heart. Environmental anger, forces that are related to provoking anger.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, anger is inherent everybody has
It's
some.
inherent, yes.
Everybody has some
Yes.
degree of anger. It's
Yes.
either positive or negative. You can be angry towards a good concept. You can also be angry towards a very negative concept.
Yeah.
The tendency to hurt somebody, to do wrong, to retaliate when you feel misrepresented or hurt. That's a short, resume of what anger is.
Yeah.
Everybody has it. Now, talking about group management or individual management, because you have given different analysis.
Yeah.
You talked about proximity.
Yeah.
If lady A in the village and woman B in the same village, they have an opportunity to interchange words
Yes.
out of anger. That's distance. But now, let's look at, for instance, from the home front.
Yeah.
Father against son. You're giving an instruction to your son, and your son seems to be not even obeying your instruction. Your son seems to be basically opposed to what you're telling him. It can provoke anger. And we have seen many parents overrun their families. There are so many children, when they see their father, because of anger, they run under the bed. And the Bible says that the anger is in the bosom of a fool. So how do you start from the home front to infuse controls that will not make you provoke your children to anger or bring up a disarray family? Because the society that we're having today, most of these wars, most of this misunderstanding, either political or social, they stem from the home.
Yes.
Because those are the fundamental basis of which individuals grow and societies too. So what do you think can be done at the elemental
Yes,
level?
at the at the domestic level,
Yeah.
a lot can be done. But I just want to, there's to corroborate what part of what you just said, that anger is inherent. There's a Benin parable which says that you leave the red spit or sputum to spit out or to throw out
The white one. Yes.
So which means naturally it's recognized that it is serious. So what is important is how we can control it. Coming to the home, yes. I think it's even in the Bible. Spare the rod and
Spoil the child.
At the developmental stages, when there's a stage you cannot really cane a child because he's still very young. Probably as from 6 or thereabout, he or she does certain things. You should be able to introduce, and you are annoying as a father, you should be able to introduce some elements of control so that he or she will know that, look, what I did last time, my father punished me for it or my mother punished me for it. I shouldn't repeat it again. It's a kind of, it's a kind of self-control, trying to, as the child is growing up. Then, at another point, probably at the adolescent stage, there are what you call a kind of control through deniers. But as a psychologist, I will always tell parents, don't deny your children of certain basic things like food, like school fees, those things that may hamper his or her progress, physically and mentally. Their privileges can be denied. For example, you want to take there are things you buy, probably clothes or whatever. You say, I would have bought this for you, but for what you did the other time. So that child will start calling himself, because at that stage, caning or whatever, may start having little or no effect. The child that goes higher than that, of course, you don't cane a child that is already almost in short an adult. Instead, you call such a child. Now look what you did. You sit down. I know my late mother used to do that to us, to me. Let me use myself as an example. Late in the night, she would just tap me. Say, wake up. Mommy, what is it? Sir, that thing you did that time, I was highly annoyed, but I just controlled myself. I would have told your father. But I know the way your father will punish you. But don't try it again. Don't do it again. I was like, Mommy, thank you very much. So this, you find that control of, handling children at the domestic level is at the different stages, depending on their level of their level of development. The way you handle infants, and not the way you handle adolescents, and not the way you handle adults. You handle them according to their level of development. Then you as a father or as a parent, you too should not also do what could annoy the child. For example, as an adult parent, so to say, you may have a child that has become so spiritually involved in the church, like he or she is a good Christian, and part of what they may be preaching to them is that a child, people should not take alcohol or smoke or do this or do that, and then you send that child, say go and buy such a drink for me, something like alcohol or whatever, and the child says no, and you say you must do it today, that kind of a thing. You are your father, and I had an experience like that. A father of a friend of mine, he sent his daughter, go and buy this, and the child will not say, probably based on previous experience, the child will not even say, no, daddy, I'm not going, but the child will run away. And I was like, what's happening? How come you wanted to send your child and I said, don't mind her because she's a Christian or that kind of a thing. So you as a father should learn from such an incident, because if you force the child to do certain things against his or her wish, it becomes a problem. I don't know the nature of that child. You too should be able to respect the child. So it's a two-way thing. The parents have to have some regard depending on the level of the child. Just as the children, as they are growing up, they are subject to your control. But again, you do it in such a way that it does not affect their physical, mental, or emotional development. Because you find some children, they start, there's a language we use, they start staying away, in isolation. They can't miss.
They become withdrawn.
They become withdrawn. That's the word I wanted to use. They become withdrawn. I tell you just say, they are introverts. Actually, they may not be introverts. It's not every person that is quiet that is an introvert. If you can test it, take a so-called introvert to, for example, a party, a children's party, for example. The person you thought was an introvert, you see he or she may be the first to jump on the floor, and start dancing. But a child can be withdrawn based on certain actions of the parents. So we advise parents, because there are parents that, hey, you won't eat in this house today, you won't do it. No. Those are not things you use in controlling, in controlling children. There are basic things children must enjoy in the house. Food is number one. The education or training or whatever. Those are the things that will keep the child on in future. And those are the things that will also make the child happy and fall into the peer group, because it's very good when your friend or your mate is doing one thing, then you're also doing it. Not when they have passed that level. Because if you deny your children unnecessarily, it can affect them intellectually and all that. And they may not perform well in school. So these are the issues.
Now let's quickly come to, your angles, your explanations and digression is quite very, very educative and profound too. But let's come to an aspect of this thinking. Most people believe that men are most likely to be angry, or that this factor of anger is genial, that anger can be transferable or inherited. That is, an angry father can produce an angry child. And there are issues, there are situations too, when we hear people say the father was angry or the grandfather was a very angry and violent person, that is, they are tracing it to generic, transfer. Now, if you read a book like Things Fall Apart when we were growing up, Things Fall Apart by Chinua Achebe of blessed memory, he wrote that book, and we had a protagonist character like Okonkwo, who was perceived from the African perspective as somebody that is strong, masculine, and he was just like an epitome of strength and anger, to the extent that he killed, and he was banished, and things fell apart. Today, do you believe that today contemporary Igbo culture, people look at that part of the country as people who are hyper, that can be angry, who are hyper violent when it comes to issues? Because now, circumstantially, what you experience as a father might transcend to what, we have children that were born by very violent parents. Somebody said that when he was growing up, he thought that parents must fight. Another person said he was not going to get married because in his neighborhood there's a man that's always angry and beating the wife every time. So to him, marriage was not anything that he was thinking about.
Very big deal.
But spiritually, as they begin to grow and mix and grow up, like you said, from adolescent to teens and to adults, they started to go to church and started to hear messages or, like you are a counselor. They started to get counseling from pastors or from counselors like you in schools. They started to have another dimension, another expose that all of this can be controlled. Do you agree that anger is a masculine acronym? Because people say that men are more angry than women. That's what some people feel. Like most of the time in the public, we are from a very volatile society. I've seen many times where drivers have fought themselves because of a minor challenge on the road, traffic, that would have been resolved. I've witnessed 1 or 2 or 3 very violent attacks. 2 drivers come out from their taxis and they fight themselves to the gutters because of an error that was not corrected. Why did you enter my front? Why did you not pervert? Just an issue. And all of this backdrops to the foundation where they are coming from, the family.
Thank you very much. Your question
my analysis
is so wide.
Yes.
But I want to quickly say that
you can enter from any angle.
I have no access to any research
material
results
that shows
men are more aggressive than women. Perhaps when I leave here, I may have to go online to find out. But I know that in our traditional settings, women seem to be more aggressive.
Women to women or women to men?
Women to women.
Or women to committee affairs?
Women to women. They seem to be more aggressive at themselves. You find that where men will just sit down, with
over bottles
and
just
chat.
And
even when they have issues, say, oh boy, that thing you did to me the other time, I don't like it. I say, oh boy, forget, I bet, make we shark. They may have a way of
settling scores.
But women have this. I'm sorry. I hope I'm not offending our women.
No, women can manage their anger when they talk. Women have ministry of talking.
Okay.
They hardly will fight publicly or take off.
They will hardly fight. You are right.
Yes.
But they can talk and
yes.
talk and talk.
As you talk, anger
they
is being managed.
will even threaten somebody whom they know very well.
They can
have even more physical strength
to beat them.
They say, touch me now.
Even to their husband.
Even to their husband. So you are right. But men, they have a way of cooling that. But within, if not controlled, a little thing can lead to violence and all that. And it's not the best. They're talking about whether anger is genetic or so. I like we said earlier, being angry or being aggressive, is part of the nature of man. And like the parable I gave or the proverb I gave, you leave the red spit, and throw away
The white one.
the white one. So it means that every person can get angry, but the ability is to manage it. Now look at it this way. You find a situation where you say, oh, a father was the aggressive type, then his children are also aggressive, so to say. At times they tell you, oh, that man. There were situations that in those days in the village, you find some persons, if you pass through the frontage of their house, they may even become angry. Either probably they have just swept it, they believe that you are coming to mess it up. There are even some situations where some will, perhaps out of idleness or whatever, they will even sit down with a cane, and
waiting for
any person,
waiting for children.
And I just say, look, I just in my response, I say, look, those people, it's no longer anger. It has to do with the mental state.
All right.
They deserve psychiatric attention, and that is why counseling, you have mental health as part of the courses you take, because you have different stages before it gets to the psychosis stage or so. You have let's
before
say
you get into that, that is where I'm coming to next. Okay. Can excessive anger lead to health complications?
Yes, anger, or let's say anger now can lead to stress.
Wow.
Stress will lead to depression. And then if at that stage
it's not controlled,
then the person goes haywire.
Wow.
Becomes mad. It is, you find situations where people say, this person is so hot tempered. That person deserves psychiatric attention. You don't just get hot. Some of these instances I gave, some of them later became mad. Yeah. Initially they thought, he's very aggressive. Don't go near him. He's unfriendly. You can't have a human being. All human beings are social animals.
Yes.
We want to interact. We want to be friendly with people. But a situation where some person is withdrawing him or herself, or any slightest, in short, you can at times you can hardly say something in the presence of some people because they will misinterpret it. And before you are trying to deny, that is not what I meant. It has turned to quarrel, because every person has a limit of self-control. I am trying to make peace, and you are still aggravating the situation. Then I too, get to my limit and also, retaliate or respond accordingly. Then that's where the anger can go to violence. So we all have levels like that. So, but a situation where someone is always on the aggressive side, is always is always withdrawn, he does not interact, that person, as of today in our contemporary society, such a person with enlightened, educated people around him or her, they should just take the person quietly to psychiatric hospital for attention. If
there's no psychiatric hospital around, for instance, in the village,
even in our traditional settings, we have traditional homes.
Yeah.
Okay, as a counselor, what practical steps do you think everyone should take that has this anger issue? What practical steps should we take to curtail, if not reduce it to the barest minimum, at least to control it? What practical steps? Somebody listening to you now, watching you, you're hearing you saying all these things, you're counseling the public. What steps can somebody having such a problem, anger, take to manage it, to curb it, so it doesn't become a problem?
Yes. Let me use myself as an example. If I know I'm the aggressive type, first, in medicine or in therapy, the first step to take is what we call diagnosis.
Okay.
Could be self-diagnosis. That is, I now talk to myself. Why is it that I'm always angry? Like once you have recognized the fact that you are the aggressive type, and then you know that the society does not like it, your friends, your relatives, your community, they don't like it, then it now behoves on you to think of how you can solve the problem. And one of the ways, like I mentioned earlier, is the first step is I have known this is my weakness or weak point. Then what do I do? Then you try and call yourself to order. I've seen people say, even before you said this type of thing to me, I know what I would have done. They are calling themselves to order. They are trying to control themselves. That is one step. And you really try and stick to it. Another step is to walk away from that venue. You can excuse yourself. Say, okay, I'm coming. If somebody says something that ordinarily would have annoyed you,
unpleasant, yeah.
yes, you can leave that venue. And say, okay, you go away. Another step is, if you are able to identify a close ally of that person, that is a close friend, you can talk to a close friend of that person and look, go and warn your friend, what he or she said to me, I don't like it. And the fellow, the funny thing is that fellow might not even have realized that he or she has annoyed you. If the fellow is another reasonable person, will not come to you to apologize. But, sister, sorry, brother, sorry, I didn't know what I said. I annoyed you. So it's all based on self-control. It's based on self-control. And there is this third-party involvement. That's like what I just said now. It's a third-party involvement. You're going to tell somebody. So it's the duty of that third party to now intervene. Look, anger or aggression is personal. If it has not gone above the level of overstressing it, or like the stages I gave, if it has not gone more than that level, you can handle it. But when it has gone to a psychiatric situation or psychosis, it is only the health officers that can manage it. But at the stage between anger, stress, depression,
paralysis, it can lead to paralysis.
Yeah, okay. A counselor can handle that.
Yeah.
We call it psychological therapy.
Yeah.
It's a question of you interact with the person, find out. You open a file, you trace the background. When were you born? Where
environmental factors.
Where did you grow up?
Parental,
what
family.
School did you attend? How were your friends or your siblings? How are they? How many the sexes? How many males? How many females? Your parents? What did they do? You go to the background. Even that's why even in modern medicine, if you are a first-time patient, that's what they do before they commence other. That's what counselors do too. Counselors go to your background, try to find out your history. Especially, even our own parents, they are natural counselors. Do you know that?
Yeah.
How? Because in those days, and today, it's having negative effects on us because of so-called civilization. In those days, you don't just pick a married partner on the street or in a party. Your parents, they identify the families, so-called good families, let me put it that way, good families in the community. And you see a marriageable material there, they are the one that will approach the parents and say this is their level of interest. On the other hand, if somebody introduces someone from another family whom perhaps in another community which they are not familiar with, they send errands,
emissaries
unknown to those people, they go and find out the family background. Do you have any type of sickness in this family, like leprosy, like those disease of those days? You know, is there any person that has been recorded to be mad in this family? Are you following me? Those are the questions. Are they quarrelsome? Are you with me? Are they quarrelsome? You know, they find out what is their nature of behavior. Yeah, they are playing a counseling role, because with that they'll be able to find out if such a person is marriageable. Because at the end of the day, it's not even only the male, you know, it's not only the females they go asking after. Okay. If I show interest in a girl as a man, they will also say the same. No, they will disguise. Not immediately. Maybe a week after, 2 weeks after, maybe be a month. They will say, okay, we are considering your request. They will say they also want to find out the background of the man. Yes. You know, in terms of mental health in particular, and aggressiveness, because nobody wants to have a partner that will be beating up or fighting his or her partner on a daily basis. So there has always been what I may call natural counseling. They even these babalawos, the Dibias in Igbo, the Obo in Benin here and all that, they also play some counseling roles.
The pastors too, and the imams.
The pastors too.
Yeah.
They play counseling roles. Yes. You go to them, you want to find out, they tell you, you know, if they, like someone wants to pick a girl in my church, and the fellow, you know, because the pastor can have 1 or 2 things to say. So those are counseling rules.
Doctor, we would have loved to go on and on and on, but we have missed signals to wrap up because of other programs that have been lined up for today. Okay. So we'd like to stop here, but I believe that we're going to call on you soon, because I believe there are other issues we're supposed to talk about, but we're not able to due to time. So we'll call on you very soon to come back to the studios and do justice to such topics, because it's something that we believe will be beneficial to everyone and make the society a better place for us. Thank you for your expository analysis on anger management, and especially the one that has to do with some steps we need to take when we discover we have this kind of challenge. You know, first of all, you must be true to yourself.
Yes.
Examine yourself and tell yourself the truth that I have this issue. Then the next step is, what do I do? And you need to take steps to walk away from environments. Even if it's some persons that you know always bring out the worst in you, you know, there are some persons that they don't have anything good to tell you. They always have this ability to make people angry. They have the gift, so you avoid such persons. Yes. So take steps to do all that so that you can have long life and peace of mind. Kayode.
Absolutely, so that you have long life and peace of mind, because the life is for the living.
Yes.
There's so much to lose through anger. We have seen nations destroyed. We have seen careers destroyed. We have seen people lose their jobs. Families scattered because of anger. So it has been a very wonderful pleasure having to know all of this with our special guest and robust, discordant, intellectual, extraordinary, Dr. Agbeka.
Yes.
So, like my colleague said, it's going to be a wonderful time having you again.
Yes.
We appreciate you, sir.
Thank you. It's a pleasure being here.
We have been talking to Dr. Ose Agbeka, a professional counselor. He has so much to offer us. We'll bring him back again to the studios to give us his wealth of experience and knowledge that will make our lives and the society better. Thank you, Dr. Ose Agbeka, for coming. We appreciate you.
It's a pleasure, madam. Thank you very much.
Enjoy the rest of your day, and remember, manage your anger for a better you. Bye-bye.